Welcome back, everybody. These are the best films that came out in the year 1976. Let's check out all the classics: horror, drama, western, comedy, romance, action, you name it, we're going to cover it. These are all the best films that came out in the year 1976. Let's check them out. "21 Hours at Munich," a dramatization of the incident in 1972 when Arab terrorists broke into the Olympic compound in Munich and murdered 11 Israeli athletes, William Holden and Shirley Knight. 1900, Robert De Niro and Gerard Depardieu, the epic tale of a class struggle in 20th century Italy as seen through the eyes of two childhood friends on opposing sides. A Star is Born, Barbra Streisand and Chris Christopherson. Has-been singing idol John Norman, Howard falls in love with young and up-and-coming songstress Esther Hoffman in Frank Pearson's version of the classic A Star is Born. Alex and the Gypsy, Jack Lemmon and Genevieve Bujold. Alexander Maine, a bail bondsman, falls for one of his customers, a pretty gypsy girl, Maritza, who has been accused of murder. All the President's Men, Dustin Hoffman, Robert Redford, and Jack Warden. The Washington Post reporters Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein uncover the details of the Watergate scandal that leads to President Nixon's resignation. The Amazing Cosmic Awareness of Duffy Moon, Lance Kerwin and Ike Eisenman. Tired of being short, a sixth grader buys a magical book that enables him to think big. This is a made-for-TV. Small Change. The lives of a motherless boy who is just starting to get interested in women, and his physically abused friend who lives in poverty are mixed with more or less innocent childhood experiences. Small Change. Assault on Precinct 13. Austin Stoker, Darwin Jostin. A highway patrol officer, two criminals, and a station secretary defend a defunct Los Angeles precinct office against a siege of bloodthirsty street gangs. Skyriders. James Coburn and Susan York. When an industrialist's wife and kids are kidnapped by terrorists in Greece, the woman's ex-husband comes to the rescue with a plan involving hang gliders. Baby Blue Marine. Jan Michael Vincent and Glynis O'Connor. A would-be Marine falls for basic training and is sent home wearing the baby blue fatigues of a washout. Baby Blue Marine is a drama. The Bad News Bears, Walter Matthau, Tatum O'Neal, Vic Morrow. An aging down on his luck ex-minor league coach coaches a team of misfits in an ultra-competitive California Little League. The Bad News Bears. The Big Bus, Joseph Bologna and Stockard Channing. A nuclear-powered bus driving cross-country from New York to Colorado is destined for disaster due to the machinations of a mysterious group of allied with oil lobby. Ode to Billy Joe, Robbie Benson and Glynis O'Connor. In 1950s Mississippi, teenager Bobby Lee Hartley navigates her blossoming hormones as she is courted by Billy. Bound for Glory, David Carradine and Ronnie Cox. The early life of Woody Guthrie as a vagabond folk singer. Biography, drama, and music. Bugsy Malone, Jodie Foster, Scott Baio. The classic gangster story of Bugsy Malone told with an all-child cast. Parody, comedy, crime, and family. Next up we have is Burnt Offerings. Burnt Offerings with Karen Black, Oliver Reed, and Burgess Meredith. A family moves into a large old mansion in the countryside, which seems to have a mysterious and sinister power over its new residents. Burnt Offerings will not disappoint. Cannonball. David Carradine, Bill McKinney. Racing across the country from LA to New York, a plethora of exotic cars carry contestants hoping to win a very large sum. Cannonball is different than Cannonball Run. Car Wash. Richard Pryor, Franklin I.J., Sully Tuyer. A comedic take on the daily life of car wash employees chronicling their hopes, fears, joys, dreams, and tribulations. Comedy, drama, and romance. Car Wash. Carrie. Sissy Spacek, John Travolta. Carrie White, a shy, friendless teenage girl who is sheltered by her domineering religious mother, unleashes her telekinetic powers after being humiliated by her classmates at a senior prom. The Casanova. Giacomo Casanova uses his sexuality to find his place in life amid eccentric and strange characters. Donald Sutherland. Dawn. Portrait of a teenage runaway. Eve Plum and Leigh McCloskey. A 15-year-old girl runs away from home and arrives in Hollywood, but winds up becoming a prostitute to support herself and gets involved with a tough-talking pimp. Dawn. God's Gun. Lee Van Cleef and Jack Palance. A priest and his twin brother take turns defending a small town from the vicious Clayton gang. God's Gun. Next up we have is the horror and mystery Drive-In Massacre. Two police detectives try to catch a serial killer who is stalking a rural California drive-in theater, randomly killing people with a sword. Drive-In Massacre. The Duchess and the Dirtwater Fox. George Siegel, Goldie Hawn. A female hustler is chasing after rich men, but becomes repeatedly mixed up with a suave conman. The Duchess and the Dirtwater Fox, comedy and western. Eat My Dust. Ron Howard and Christopher Norris. Darlene's into going fast. Hoover's into Darlene. But when they both get into a red-hot race car, the reckless fun accelerates into trunk full of hot pursuits. Embryo. Rock Hudson and Barbara Carrera. A scientist doing experiments on human fetus discovers a method to accelerate the fetus into a mature adult in just a few days. Embryo. Horror. Family Plot. Karen Black and Bruce Dern. A phony physician, con artist, and her taxi driver actor boyfriend encounter a pair of serial kidnappers while trailing a missing heir in California. Family Plot. Echoes of a Summer. Richard Harris, Jodie Foster. A couple whose daughter has life-threatening heart condition decides to make her last days of life meaningful. Echoes of a Summer. Drama. Find the Lady. John Candy's first film. 3 kidnapping plots simultaneously target the same young woman. Find the Lady with John Candy. 1976. One of my favorite comedies is Freaky Friday. Barbara Harris and Jodie Foster and John Astin. A mother and daughter find their personalities switched and have to live each other's lives on one strange Friday. Freaky Friday. Frosty's Winter Wonderland. Frosty's kind of lonely, so the kids think of making him a wife, Crystal. But will Jack Frost let them be happy? Frosty's Winter Wonderland. Gable and Lombard. James Brolin and Jill Clayburgh. A biography about the love affair between 1930s Hollywood superstars Clark Gable and Carole Lombard. Gator. Agents force a former conman to help them nab a corrupt politician. Gator. Dark comedy, action, crime, and drama. Featuring Burt Reynolds, Jack Weston, and Lauren Hutton. Gator will not disappoint. If you love dark comedy and action, you're going to love Gator. God Told Me To. Tony LaBianco and Deborah Raffin. A New York detective investigates a series of murders committed by random New Yorkers who claim that God told me to. Crime, horror, mystery, and sci-fi. God Told Me To. Here is another poster that was released for the theaters. Which poster did you like? The color version or the black and white version? God Told Me To is a crime, horror, mystery, and sci-fi thriller. Grizzly. Christopher George and Andrew Pine. An 18-foot tall grizzly bear terrorizes the state park, leaving Ranger Mike in the pursuit. Grizzly. Adventure, horror, and thriller. The Gumball Rally. An eclectic group of people take part in a secret and illegal cross-country road race. Michael Sarazan and Tim McIntyre. The Gumball Rally. Remember the Cannonball? Cannonball Run? Now the Gumball Rally. Gus. Edward Asner, Don Knotts. The inept California Adams, floundering in the cellar of National Football League, welcomed the team's newest member, a mule capable of place-kicking a football 100 yards with deadly accuracy. The Hobbit. A homemade hobbit in Middle-earth gets talked into joining a quest with a group of dwarves to recover their treasure from a dragon. The Hobbit. Dark fantasy, sword, and sorcery. Hollywood Boulevard. A young woman arrives in Hollywood to try her luck as an actress. An incompetent agent hooks up with her production company, which specializes in low-budget B-movie fare. Mary Monroe and Paul Bartel. King Kong. Jeff Bridges and Charles Grodin. A petroleum exploration expedition comes to an isolated island and encounters a colossal giant gorilla. King Kong. Adventure and horror. The Last Tycoon. Robert De Niro, Tony Curtis. F. Scott Fitzgerald's novel is brought to life in the story of a movie producer slowly working himself to death. Lifeguard. Rick, still in his 30s, works full-time as a lifeguard on the beaches of Los Angeles. Sam Elliott and Ann Archer. Lifeguard is a great movie. Check it out. Lipstick. A top fashion model seeks justice after getting sexually assaulted by her teenage sister's obsessive music teacher. Margot Hemingway. Krista Randon. Lipstick. The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane. A 13-year-old girl who lives with her absentee father befriends a disabled teenager. Jodie Foster and Martin Sheen. The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane. Drama, horror, and mystery. The Tenant. A bureaucrat rents a Paris apartment where he finds himself drawn into a rabbit hole of dangerous paranoia. Roman Polanski. Isabelle Adjani. Dark comedy psychological thriller. The Tenant. Mad Dog Morgan. The true story of Irish outlaw Daniel Morgan, who was wanted dead or alive in Australia during the 1850s. Dennis Hopper. Jack Thompson. Action, crime, drama, and mystery. Mad Dog Morgan. Marathon Man. Dustin Hoffman and Laurence Olivier. Crime, drama, and thriller. After the murder of his older brother, a New York history student is hounded by shadowy government agents on the trail of a Nazi war criminal. Marathon Man. Massacre at Central High. Daryl Morey and Andrew Stevens, a high school transfer student pushed to the edge, becomes crippled, and gets revenge. Drama, horror, and thriller. Massacre at Central High. Midway. Charlton Heston, Henry Fonda, James Coburn. A dramatization of the battle that was widely heralded as a turning point in the Pacific theater of World War II. The Missouri Breaks. Tom Logan is a horse thief rancher. David Braxton has horses and a daughter worth stealing. Marlon Brando, Jack Nicholson, and Randy Quaid. The Missouri Breaks. Mother Jugs and Speed. Bill Cosby, Raquel Welch, and Harvey Keitel. Competition between privately owned Los Angeles, California ambulance companies is played for humor. Mother Jugs and Speed. Murder by Death. Peter Falk, Alec Guinness, and Peter Sellers, 5 famous literary detective characters, and their sidekicks are invited to a bizarre mansion to solve an even stranger mystery. Network. Faye Dunaway, William Holden, and Peter Finch. A television network cynically exploits a deranged former anchor's ravings and revelations about the news media. Network. Dark comedy, workplace drama, and horror. Next stop, Greenwich Village. Lady Baker and Shelley Winters. The ups and downs of life as experienced by a group of aspiring young artists in the early 50s, New York. Next stop, Greenwich Village. Nickelodeon. Ryan O'Neal, Burt Reynolds, and Tatum O'Neal. Buck and lawyer Leo accidentally get into movie production in the early days of 1910. Nickelodeon. No Deposit, No Return. David Niven, Darren McGavin, and Don Knotts. During school break, 2 kids are staying with their rich grandpa, but they would rather join their mother overseas. Slapstick comedy and family. No Deposit, No Return. Obsession. Cliff Robertson and John Lithgow. A wealthy New Orleans businessman becomes obsessed with a young woman who resembles his wife. Obsession. The Omen. Gregory Peck and Lee Remick. Mysterious deaths surround an American ambassador. Could the child that he is raising actually be the Antichrist? The devil's own son? The Omen. Organism. Chaos and confusion seem to multiply in every corner of the Big Apple. Documentary, Organism, released in 1976, is a scorcher. Wait till you see it. Paco. Paco is an orphan Colombian boy who leaves the family farm to search for his uncle in the big city. Jose Ferrer, Alan Garfield, and Pernell Roberts. Paco is a family movie. The Pink Panther strikes again. After escaping from an insane asylum, the bonkers Charles Dreyfus sends 26 assassins on the trail of the forever bumbling Inspector Clouseau, Peter Sellers. Next up we have is the Pom Pom Girls with Robert Carradine. A group of carefree high school seniors are having the time of their lives, filled with sex, romance, and teen hijinks. The Pom Pom Girls, comedy and romance. Sweet Revenge, Stockard Channing and Sam Waterston, a teenage car thief's obsessive quest to own an expensive sports car keeps her lawyer and the police working overtime. Sweet Revenge, heist, comedy, crime, and drama. Rattlers. A herpetologist investigating a series of fatal rattlesnake attacks discovers that the creatures have been infected by a mysterious nerve gas disposed of in the desert by the military. Rattlers is a horror film, so when they bite you, they release nerve gas. Robin and Marian. Robin Hood, aging none too gracefully, returns exhausted from the Crusades to woo and win Maid Marian one last time. Sean Connery and Audrey Hepburn. Robin and Maid Marian. Rocky. A small-time Philadelphia boxer gets a supremely rare chance to fight the world heavyweight champion in a bout which he strives to go the distance for his self-respect. Rocky, Sylvester Stallone, Talia Shire, and Burt Young. Roots. LeVar Burton, Robert Reed, John Amos, Louis Gossett Jr. Kunta Kinte, a dramatization of author Alex Haley's family line from ancestors Kunta Kinte. Roots. Santo versus the She-Wolves. This is the Mexican wrestler with the white mask fighting female werewolves. She-Wolves. Again, he battles monsters and defeats them with his mask. And he wrestles them too. The 7% Solution. To treat his friend's cocaine-induced delusions, Watson lures Sherlock Holmes to Sigmund Freud. Alan Arkin, Vanessa Redgrave, Robert Duvall. The Shaggy DA. Will B. Daniels, now and all grown up and ready for district attorney, finds himself once again turning to a shaggy dog at inopportune moments. Dean Jones and Suzanne Plachette. Shoot. Cliff Robertson, Ernest Borgnine. Two groups of armed men eye each other across a body of water. Action, drama, and thriller. Shoot. Shoot. The Shootist. John Wayne and Lauren Bacall and Ron Howard and James Stewart. A dying gunfighter spends his last days looking for a way to die with a minimum of pain and a maximum of dignity. The Shootist. Silent movie. Mel Brooks, Marty Feldman, Dom DeLuise, Sid Caesar. A film director and a strange friend struggle to produce their first major silent feature film in 40 years. Next up we have is the comedy duo Silver Streak. Gene Wilder, Richard Pryor, Joe Claiborne. On a long-distance train trip, a man finds romance but also finds himself in danger of being killed, or at least pushed off the train. Silver Streak. Small Change, or Pocket Money. The lives of a motherless boy who is just starting to get interested in women. Comedy, drama. Small Change, or Pocket Money. Next up we have the classic A Small Town in Texas. Timothy Bottoms, Susan George. A crooked sheriff in a small southern town frames an ex-convict in a drug bust and takes his girlfriend. A Small Town in Texas. Smash Up on Interstate 5, Robert Conrad. Flashbacks profile California motorists involved in a disastrous 39-car smash up over a holiday weekend. Smash Up on Interstate 5. Special Delivery, Bo Spencer and Sybil Shepherd. A bank robber fleeing on foot shoves a bag full of money into a mailbox in downtown LA. Special Delivery, Who Finds the Money? Squirm, Don Scardino. A storm causes some power lines to break and touch the ground, drawing millions of man-eating worms out of the earth and into the town where they quickly start munching on the locals. Squirm, horror. St. Eves, a crime novelist, is hired by a shady character to negotiate the return of stolen confidential documents. St. Eves action crime drama with Charles Bronson and Jacqueline Bisset. Sybil, Joanne Woodward and Sally Field, a young woman whose childhood was so harrowing to her that she developed 16 different personalities, is treated by a doctor. Sybil, biography and drama. Taxi Driver, Robert De Niro, Jodie Foster, Sybil Shepherd. A mentally unstable veteran works as a nighttime taxi driver in New York City, where the perceived decadence and sleaze fuels his urge for violent action. Taxi Driver. That's Entertainment, Part 2. This second installment in the That's Entertainment trilogy features more classic scenes from MGM's vast musical library with the addition of comedy and drama. All-star cast. The Captive, The Longest Drive, Part 2. During a cavalry massacre at an Indian village, two brothers searching for their captor sister rescue a white woman kidnapped by the Cheyenne. Kurt Russell and Tim Matheson. The Whiz Kid and the Carnival Caper. Family Mystery. Daphne Furnall loses her brother's toy rocket when it flies into a storm drain. She knows Alvin will be upset if he finds out, so she climbs into the dark tunnel to search for it. She gets strange. The Boy in the Plastic Bubble, John Travolta, Glynis O'Connor, Robert Reed, Diana Hyland. The Girl Next Door makes a teen born with immune deficiencies want to leave a germ-free bubble. The Disappearance of Amy, Faye Dunaway, Betty Davis. In 1926, famous evangelist Amy disappeared for 6 weeks. Biography drama, The Disappearance of Amy. The Eagle Has Landed, Michael Caine, Donald Sutherland, Robert Duvall, and Donald Pleasance. A German plot to kidnap Prime Minister Winston Churchill unfolds at the height of World War II. Next thing we have is The Enforcer, Clint Eastwood, Tyne Daly. Inspector Dirty Harry Callahan reluctantly teams up with rookie Inspector Kate Moore to foil a terrorist organization made up of disgruntled Vietnam veterans. The Enforcer. The Killing of a Chinese Bookie, Ben Gazzara. And Seymour Castle. A proud strip club owner is forced to come to terms with himself as a man when his gambling addiction gets him in hot water with the mob. Sasquatch, The Legend of Bigfoot. Scientists mount an expedition to find a Bigfoot-type creature. Adventure, horror, mystery, and thriller. This movie was scaring people in 1976 as it was a made-for-TV movie. The Outlaw, Josie Wales. Missouri farmer Josie Wales joins a Confederate guerrilla unit and winds up on the run from the Union soldiers who murdered his family. Clint Eastwood, Sandra Locke. The Outlaw, Josie Wales. The Ritz, comedy. Evading a mob contract on his life, a heterosexual man winds up hiding out at a homosexual bathhouse. Jack Weston, Rita Moreno, and Jerry Stiller. The Ritz, Meet Me at the Ritz. The sailor who fell from grace with the sea. After his father dies, a disturbed young boy plots to take revenge on the new man in his mother's life. Sarah Miles, Chris Christopherson, and Jonathan Kahn. Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin are a popular British band best known for their iconic Stairway to Heaven, and the song remains the same. The song remains the same. Led Zeppelin, 1976, live concert. Awesome, awesome movie. The Swiss Conspiracy. A former U.S. Justice Department official is hired as a security consultant for a Zurich-based Swiss bank when 5 of his clients are blackmailed. David Jansen, Senta Berger, and John Ireland. W.C. Fields and Me. One of comedy's true originals, the master of wit and good, mean fun, the crumb-duggingly and very original, legendary W.C. Fields. Rod Steiger, Mallory Perrine. The Human Tornado. Dolomite flees to California where he helps Queen Bee and her kung fu prostitutes battle a local gangster. Rudy Ray Moore, The Human Tornado. Tracks. A soldier returns from Vietnam on special assignment, accompanying the body of his friend by train to California for burial. Dennis Hopper, Terran Power, and Dean Stockwell. Trapped. Treasure of Matacumbe. In 1869 Kentucky, a young boy and his friends set out to find a treasure chest hidden by his late father in the Florida Everglades during the Civil War. Robert Foxworth and Joan Hackett. Tunnel Vision. A comedian investigating TV's first uncensored network examines a typical day's programming. Phil Proctor and Howard Hessman. Tunnel Vision. 2-minute warning. Charlton Heston, John Cassavetes, and Martin Balsam. A crazed sniper is set to kill spectators at an LA Coliseum football championship game, and the police race against time to eliminate him. 2-minute warning. Wonton Tom, the dog who saved Hollywood. In 1924, Esty comes to Hollywood to become an actress, but the dog that followed her becomes the star. Dennis Morgan and Shecky Green. Those are the best films of 1976. Probably the biggest blockbuster of 1976, I would have to say, is probably Rocky. When Rocky came out, the whole world saw Rocky. What were some of your favorite movies of 1976? Let me know if there's any movies that I left out that were released that year that I didn't include in this list. My list is not all inclusive, but I try to be. So don't come for me if like, oh, you forgot this movie. Oh, you forgot. No. My list is all inclusive and it has all the movies of 1976. So just so you know. Alright, you have any questions, comments, or feedback, leave them below. I'm Tony. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.